depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at Blissey V. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Blissey looks good, ladies and gentlemen. Blissey looks good. Far better than we may have expected going in. Now, our translation, of course, does come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, just for a change. And what we've got here is starting off 250 HP, which is big. Really big. There are a couple of Pokemon V up till now that have kind of broken the trend. Generally, 220s are top with the occasional 230, but we have seen that Steelix and Wailord have both come in with, well, to put it bluntly, ridiculous HP, and we've got the same thing going on here. We are actually in line with Steelix, which is quite nice. For what it's worth, we are still a little bit below Wailord V, but come on. That's Wailord. I think that is probably to be expected. So we've got huge HP, which is really good, and we got a retreat cost of 4, which means for the very short term before rotation, we do have buff padding to actually go up even further, but then even when that gets rotated out, we're still going to have Cape of Toughness, which, given that you're a basic Pokemon, will also give you an extra 50 HP, so maybe that's not such a big deal. And for anyone that's wondering, that does put you up to 300 HP on a 2-prize Pokemon, which is clearly a little bit nutty. We've then got a weakness to fighting, and a weakness to fighting sucks. It's not good. However, it does open up some interesting things. So take Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. Generally speaking, they are hitting for 120 with their big attack that does 122 Pokemon. So even with weakness, they'll be 10 damage short. Means they can't 2-hit KO you on the bench, which is nice. You've actually got 10 more HP than Pikachu and Zekrom, who is hit for the numbers perfectly by Urshifu, which I do find kind of interesting. But they can still use Gale Thrust to come in for a single energy and do 300 and take a KO. It's not a great weakness to have, because you're sharing a weakness with a bunch of other stuff like Crobat, and Urshifu is a thing, and that's a little bit sad, unfortunately. Not to mention, of course, Galarian Zapdos, which is looking like it's going to be a big thing moving forward. And yeah, that's a little bit sad. Remember, the attack cost is reduced by 1 for each Pokemon V you've got in play. So if you've got 3 Pokemon V in play, Galarian Zapdos can KO you for 1 energy, which is not ideal. I know I spent a bit of time talking about the weakness, but it is pretty big. And then, being a colorless Pokemon, you're not hitting anything for weakness, but you do have powerful colorless energy. So, what do we see here? Well, we've got an ability that says, when you attach an energy from your hand to this Pokemon, heal all special conditions from it. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, it would not be a Blissey card if you could not heal all special conditions from a Pokemon. In this case, it's itself, which is fine. But that's alright. That sounds absolutely fine by me. You see, it doesn't make you immune to special conditions. It means if you're paralyzed or asleep or confused, one of the ones that would stop you attacking, you can just attach an energy and then you're good to go. But it also means that if you are poisoned or burned, you will still take that damage before you are able to get rid of it. So with poison, you'll take the poison damage, then it becomes your turn, and then you can attach an energy and it goes away. You're not immune to special conditions, but you are always able to get rid of them if you like. So you know what? Sounds alright to me, ladies and gentlemen. Sounds alright to me. It's not a reason to play the card per se, but it's quite a handy little bonus. Special conditions aren't huge at the moment. You know, the most used one is probably Raichu and Alolan Raichu, which is about to rotate out. But it is really nice when something like that comes along, you can just be like, ha! I just got out of your paralysis. And paralysis does tend to come back around in the Pokemon trading card game, so it is really cool to have an answer to it. But we've got an attack here, and the attack is what gets me really excited about this card. 1 colorless energy, 10 damage, plus 30 more for each energy, not card, energy attached to this Pokemon. then you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now we are absolutely rolling. Except, in Standard, as it stands at the moment, we don't have any double energy for this. Triple Acceleration Energy only works on evolved Pokemon. This is a basic. Though it is rotating out, but if we ever get a Blissey VMAX in the future, then this with Memory Capsule in Expanded does sound pretty gosh darn fun. Unfortunately, if we do get a Blissey VMAX, it's almost guaranteed that we will have already seen the rotation of Triple Acceleration, and that's a bit sad. But Twin Energy only works on a non-V, non-GX Pokemon, and this is a V. Rapid Strike Energy only works on a Rapid Strike Pokemon, which is not the case here. We don't have it, and that's what's really sad. What we need is double colorless energy. If we get a reprint of double colorless energy, and incidentally, the fact that we have Twin Energy tells us we are probably not getting a reprint of double colorless, because that would just make Twin Energy much, much worse by comparison. But it would be amazing, because not only do you get to do an extra 30 damage twice, so 60 damage per double colorless, but when you attacked, you could attach 3 double colorless from your discard to this Pokemon, which is kind of ridiculous. And you can still do that incident. You can still be attaching all the energy, but we have double energies in the format at the moment, and none of them will work for Blissey V, and that is gutting. Because this is the kind of card that has an absolutely huge amount of potential. But I look at this attack, and I'm not the first one to point out, if you come against a VMAX, you, for 10 energy, will do 310. That is enough to get a Victini. For 11 energy, you're up to 340, and that is a KO on Eternatus V Max, which incidentally is the highest HP we've got at the moment. And 11 energy is an awful lot. But imagine if this could be used with Triple Acceleration Energy. Now it's 2 energy plus 3 of them, bearing in mind 3 of them can be attached when you attack using the attack, and that would change everything. Is it good enough as it stands at the moment? That is an extremely interesting question. Because the fact of the matter is, this Blissey still puts your opponent on a very short clock. Essentially, what happens is, you attack with Blissey, and you're probably not doing too much at the start, right? You're doing like 40, maybe 70 damage. Maybe you play a little bit of Turbo Patch or something along those lines. But then the next turn, you're doing an extra 90 damage, because you've just attached 3 energy from the discard. And then the next turn, you're doing an extra 90 damage, and all of a sudden, this builds up really, really quickly. Think about that Gardevoir that we saw yesterday. It's got an ability that's very much like Zacian's, except it is any energy you can attach. You only look at 2 cards, and it doesn't end your turn. So you look at the top 2 cards, attach any basic energy you find anywhere you like, and put the rest into your hand. It's a very nice attack. Well, with a couple of Gardevoir out, all of a sudden you could be attaching potentially an extra 3 or 4 energy to Blissey, and then attaching more when you attack. And essentially what Blissey does is it says to your opponent, look, I am building up very big, very fast. So one of 2 things is going to happen. You are going to build up an answer to Blissey right now, or you're going to lose the game. And they are basically the only 2 options. Yes, there are going to be games where your opponent does have an answer. And if your opponent does have an answer, well, they've got an answer. And that's sad and all of that, but these things happen. But bearing in mind, this can be put into any deck whatsoever. Any deck can play this, which is kind of cool. And maybe you combine it with something like Frostmoth. So you accelerate a whole bunch of water energy using Frostmoth, but then it gets discarded, gets pulled back on, and maybe there's a way round. Maybe you just play it as a Hail Mary. Maybe we do a reset stamp to 1 and just start attacking with Blissey, knowing that your opponent's got 1 or 2 turns to draw out of it before Blissey sweeps for the game. I am not sure that building a Turbo Blissey deck is necessarily going to work right now, because we don't have any double energy. But I love Blissey if we ever do get a double energy that it can use. And I love Blissey as a random big attack tech in any deck with energy acceleration. And I love Blissey as just an I've had a good start. If you don't match my start, I will sweep and you will lose kind of Pokemon. And that's why I love Blissey. No, I don't think you can just play a solo Blissey deck and that's going to win the next World Championships. But I absolutely do think that this, as a basic Pokemon that attacks for colorless energy, can just fit into so many different decks and do so many cool things that we have absolutely got to keep an eye out for this. I think this one could be really, really cool. I'm giving it 4 Wassies, and if that sounds a little bit high, then you know what? That's a little bit high, and I am totally fine with it, because I think there is a lot of potential here, and this is one that I am pretty gosh darned excited about. But I'd like to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.